Hey everybody, I'm Vera Stewart and welcome to the VeryVera show. I'm so glad you decided to join me tonight. Are you hungry? Well, you're certainly going to be by the time we get through tonight. I'm doing a wonderful prime rib roast, a beef roast. It's just going to be scrumptious. I'm going to show you a new way to prepare that. I'm also going to do a potato dish that just takes your basic baked potato recipe, but we're going to do a little something different to it tonight. And then finally, Caesar salad is just great with this meal, but let's do a different way to present it. So those are the three things we're going to learn tonight. So get ready because we're going to get started with this prime rib roast. Now, everybody loves to cook outside on the grill and, maybe do something really quick. But the reason I chose this menu tonight is because, maybe it's too hot to be outside on the grill, or maybe you just really want the house to have a wonderful aroma, whether you're having friends over or just your family. So this is a bone-in beef roast, and it's just beautiful. I had the butcher cut this for me special at the Fresh Market. You want to make sure you've got plenty of fat on the top because the salt encrusting is going to need the fat there to hold it together. All right, so you want to get a shallow roasting pan and cover it with heavy-duty aluminum foil. And then you're not going to believe this because it's truly unreal. I'm going to put half of the box of salt in the bottom of this pan. So I'm just going to cover the pan with the kosher salt, and then we're going to take the other half of the box and actually put it on the roast. So this is one of the reasons why this is so flavorful. And I know you're thinking, well, gosh, the sodium in this dish is going to kill you, but you're going to actually take the salt off before you serve it. So that's about halfway done there. Now I'm going to turn it over where I've got the bone side, and I'm going to start with some Worcestershire sauce. I've got about 3 tablespoons in this little glass bowl, and I'm just going to paint the whole roast with the Worcestershire sauce. And when you're cooking this, that salt is going to keep all the juices inside of the meat as well. So let's flip this over, make sure we get the sides really good. This is just gorgeous. And a lot of times, you can catch these on sale and put them in the freezer until you need to use one. Really comes in, but on a roast this size, I can probably serve about 6 people. This has 3 bones in it. All right, now I'm going to take a little garlic powder and just go over it lightly with the garlic powder, the sides as well. Nice and good. Now we're going to put it fat side onto the pan, and this is where we take the other half of the box of salt, and I'm going to make a paste with water. So I've got about a half a cup of water, and we're going to just smear this all over that roast. And I've got my oven on 450 degrees preheating because this goes in really hot for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to turn the oven down to 325. All right, so let's stir this up, and you just want to mix it together just until it's pliable and you can work with it. Let's get this roast back over here, and we're going to start adhering this to the meat, and I'm just going to take, and you're just going to start mashing it on the meat. I'm starting at one end and going all the way over. So again, this is just a way this is going to turn into a really hard crust when it gets into that hot oven. And then when we get ready to serve it, and you'll be able to see that in a little bit, this is just going to come, it actually starts popping off during the baking process. And let me tell you how great it smells while it's cooking. So we're going to, again, put this in a 425-degree oven for about 15 minutes, and then we'll turn it down to 325. So I'm going to finish getting it all iced, and when we come back from the break, I'm going to show you what it looks like, and then we're going to get started on the potato dish. So come back with me. welcome back. And you know, before we went to the break, I had put salt all over a prime rib beef roast, bone in, and it's been in a 425-degree oven while we were gone. So now I'm going to turn it down to 325. So one of the things that you want to remember about this is that you don't want to open your oven up. So I'm just going to turn it down to 325, and now I'm going to leave it in that oven for 2 to 2.5 hours. I want it to be at about 130 for medium because it's going to rise in temperature after you take it out of the oven. So I'm continuing to love smelling that, and certainly my guests would too if I was having a dinner party tonight. So keep that in mind. If it's too hot or too cold to be outside, this is just a great recipe for beef. Now we're going to get started on the potato dish, and these are just russet potatoes, and I got medium size. And I've got a really good and sharp knife, and I'm just going to start cutting this potato in 1/8 inch slices. And you don't want to go all the way through. You want to be able to fan it out, so you want to make sure that you don't penetrate through the bottom of the potato. And my slices are so straight right now. I'm so happy. You know, when you do things ahead of the show, you never know what you'll do when you get on the air. So my home economics days of knowing what a 1/8 inch seam was is paying off right about now. All right. So all of you that think that you can't get in the kitchen and do something different, this is the recipe for you. Because now when these potatoes bake, they're going to open up and fan out. So I've got a little bit of butter. We're going to drizzle the butter on each of the potatoes, and then a little bit of kosher salt and pepper. And we don't want to put a heck of a lot of salt on this since our meat and our Caesar salad is going to be a little bit on the salty side, so I'll get a little bit heavier with the pepper. All right, so just so you know what this looks like when it comes out of the oven, I prepared one in advance, and this is done except for the last 5 minutes, so you can see they opened up and fanned out really pretty. So this is where those wonderful fresh herbs that you can pick up at the fresh market really come in handy, because there's nothing like being able to put the fresh herbs on this dish. And this is what makes this different. You know, we're all used to putting the bacon and the, you know, cut up onions and all of that, but I'm using fresh chives, fresh sage. Oh gosh, you know, that aroma in itself is fantastic. And then finally, some fresh tarragon. And this is the last thing that you do. And you know, when you're using these fresh herbs, what I like to do is take one of the halves of the paper towel and just dampen it. And then if you'll wrap that around these boxes after you use them and stick that down in a Ziploc bag, that's going to keep this fresh for a couple of weeks. And you know, if you've gone to the trouble to buy that, then you want to make sure that you come up with another recipe to use it. Okay, finally, I've got some sharp cheddar cheese. And here again, this is going to be something that you're cooking in a casserole dish, but it's not a casserole. So this is going to go back into that same hot oven for 5 minutes just to melt the cheese, and it'll be ready to go with that wonderful prime rib. So come back with me after the break. Let's get started on that Caesar salad. Are you being as thoughtful as you should? I know in this busy world that we live in, it's really hard to juggle being a mom and a wife and a business person. But you know, you can get so much enjoyment out of maybe thinking of a way to be extremely thoughtful to someone other than the people that you see all the time. I recently had the opportunity to drive to Macon to take my high school home economics teacher to lunch. It was a date that she and I had on our calendars for quite a while. I cannot tell you how much that experience meant to me, but I can certainly tell you as an older person, and she's 95, how much it meant to her that a former student reached out, connected with her, and spent the afternoon together. As you go through your busy life, maybe once a month or every other month, think of someone that was important to you in your life and reach out to that person. Not only will you get the benefit, but you'll feel so great for having done something wonderful for someone else. Welcome back, and did I say this was going to be a delicious dinner? Well, I hope it is, but it certainly smells that way, and this is one of my favorite parts because, you know, we get so accustomed to, you know, the steak, the mashed potato, or the baked potato, and just the plain old salad. And so basically what we've done tonight is just taken a wonderful cut of beef that we're cooking in the oven. It just smells so great in here. A potato dish that's going to be the same potato, but we've added some fresh herbs and we've cut the potato to really make a pretty presentation. And now the Caesar salad is going to have some oomph because I'm going to do a Parmesan crisp. So we went ahead while we were on the break and got a few of these started, and as you can see, they're different shapes. I've put some cracked pepper in some of them. Some of them I did a little bit lacy. But I've got my pan on a good medium heat, and it's a non-stick pan, and you don't spray it or anything. Parmesan cheese actually has a good bit of oil in it. I've freshly grated the domestic Parmesan, and I'm going to take about 1/4 of a cup and start making a circle. And I want this to be, you know, 5 or 6 inches in diameter. So you can hear the cheese kind of sizzling in the pan. And as it cooks, I'll be taking my spatula and kind of mashing it down and making it just a little bit bigger than that. And this one I'm going to put the cracked pepper in it. So just sprinkle a little bit of that on there. And as the cheese starts to melt, that's when you're just going to kind of take your spatula and start making the circle the way you want it to be. And what we're doing is letting it cook for about 2 minutes till it's nice and bubbly and the edges are nice and golden brown. So again, if you'll, Fresh Market generally has the Parmesan already nicely shredded for you in the containers, or you can buy the domestic Parmesan in the block and grate it yourself, which is what I did. You can save yourself a little bit of money if you do that, but it's always nice to be able to run in and pick it up already done. So as you can see, this is getting nice and bubbly. The outside edges are getting nice and golden brown. I want to just cover up. One of them I made kind of lacy, and this one I'm going to kind of do semi. All right, that looks really good. So I'm going to turn the heat off. I'm going to put it over here. It's going to set for about 15 seconds. And while that's doing that, I wanted to show you what it's going to look like. And as you can see on the dinner plate, I did one a little bit smaller. If you wanted to serve it on a salad plate, you could, or you could just, do it on the dinner plate just as it is. But I've got just some romaine lettuce that I'm going to cut. And in this Caesar salad, I'm just going to use the romaine, some cherry tomatoes, because, the dressing and the Parmesan crisp is really going to make this nice. But the beauty of this meal is the fact that that meat has been in the oven, a good while, and that can be being done, prior to your guests getting there. You can time it so that it's going to come out right when it's time to eat. The other thing is these Parmesan crisp can be done in advance. I'm going to add a few cherry tomatoes. And then this, you can make your own Caesar dressing, but this is one that they already had that looked really, really good. So we're just going to toss this up. And this will go in one of those shells. But let's check on this one so I can show you how to flip it out. All right, so you want to take a nice spatula that's, pretty large in size, and just go around it and make sure that it's going to come up nicely before you put the spatula all the way under it. Now just take one big whiff and go over, and this is just a custard bowl. You can use a ramekin or anything that is going to give you that size that you're looking for. And it's a little warm, but you can just take your fingertips, and what you want to make sure that you do is flatten it on the top so it's going to sit really nicely on the dinner plate. And I actually like this little bit of a smaller size because you could use it on the plate, but it also looks really pretty on the salad plate. You've got some room left over. The salad will go in here. We'll drizzle that with the dressing. So again, the shells can be done in advance, put in an airtight container. You can have your greens already cut up, your cherry tomatoes cut up. The other thing that Fresh Market has that I love to get are the already prepared croutons. You know, this is one of those things that you may, you know, not have enough time to do. And honestly, my guests are not going to know that I did this or not. Shh, don't tell. But it's always great when you can go into, you know, they make their bread there and it's all seasoned really well. You can crush these if they're a little bit bigger than you want to use. But, you know, just take advantage of some of the things that you can do that you don't have to stop and do yourself at the last minute. All right, so we've got the meat ready to come out of the oven and rest. We've got all the things for the salad ready. I'm going to put those potatoes back in just to get that cheese melted. And when we come back from the break, we're going to plate it all up. And I'm going to give you some tips on some great food magazine. So come back with us after the break. I'm so glad you joined me tonight, and I hope that these recipes will be something on your calendar to try very soon. You know, if the weather's hot, if the weather's cold, it's the perfect thing to do with beef. It's just a great dish. As you can see, it just browned up so pretty. And while we were gone during the break, you know, I tested the meat for the temperature I was looking for, which was 130. I let it sit for about 15 minutes, and then we were able to take all of this wonderful crust, and honestly, it's like a cast. I mean, it's crazy. It's got weight on it and everything, but you can see what it has done to this roast beef. So we've got that ready to go. I've got the different shells that we did, and as you can see, lacy, some small, some a little bit bigger, some with Parmesan, but I picked out my favorite to go on the plate tonight. Perfect size with what else we're doing. And then the potatoes have come out of the oven, the melted cheese on top, and at this point, before you get ready to serve, you can add a little bit of extra butter if you'd like. You could even dollop each one of them with a little bit of sour cream. So let's just jump right into carving this roast and see what we're looking at here. And this is where you can present it on a platter, or you can go ahead and slice each piece to go on the plate. But we've got a perfect piece of medium rare roast, and a wonderful horseradish mayonnaise and horseradish sauce would be really, really good at that. But you can just see it's just a beautiful consistency throughout, and these bones are really great too. Be wonderful for soup. You could cut those and have one of them sticking up on the side of the plate, would look great. The salad has been tossed, and I'm going to just add that now. You don't want to do that too much in advance because you don't want that Parmesan cup not to be crispy. Make sure you've got the tomatoes on the very top for color. So that looks great. We could even put a couple of extra ones up there without the dressing, would look good. And then let's see which one of these potatoes I'm going to try. And the fresh herbs on here just really are wonderful. And it's going to be so easy to eat because of the way that it fanned out. And at this point, again, any other condiments that you want to do, you know, you can add the sour cream, but you know, take your spatula and kind of open up that fanning so it just looks really nice, but you've got a really wonderful presentation for a nice dinner. This could be done on as a plated or a buffet. It's just a wonderful menu that I hope that you will try. Any leftovers, certainly on something like this, I don't think we're going to have very many leftovers, but on something like this, it's just a great thing that you could use for beef stroganoff. Anything that, because the meat is not cooked so well done and it is so tender, it would be great for a stroganoff if you did have any leftover. The croutons that I mentioned earlier, just put those on too at the last minute. I wouldn't add any additional Parmesan cheese to this since you're using the crisp as your Parmesan cheese feature. So all of these recipes are available on our website at NBC26.tv. Just click on the VeryVera show and those recipes will come up. And I love to hear from you. If you try any of these things, take a picture, put it on Instagram, let me know what you think of the recipes. You can email me at vera@veryvera.com. I also want to suggest to you that if you've got children or grandchildren that are looking for things to do during the year on Saturdays or, you know, in the summertime, we do cooking classes. The VeryVera School is located on Wheeler Road, directly behind the old Wife Saver. I do Saturday classes there and also summer classes. So check it out at veryvera.com for recipes related to that. And speaking of cooking, people ask me all the time, what food magazines do you look at? So I wanted to recommend Cook's Country, Cook's Illustrated, Food Network magazine, and then of course Taste of Home for those good Southern basic recipes. So enjoy yourself in the kitchen, make something simple, unique, and remember, whatever you do, do it in good taste, and I hope you'll join me next week for another episode of the VeryVera Show. Can't wait to try this myself.